All right. All right. Excellent connection. Good. All right. Hello. Let's see. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to assume that I am in the recording now. And I probably have been since I actually pressed start streaming. But yes. Okay. So we're doing this. Maybe I'll remember this. I actually, maybe the first thing I should do in this stream is go back and put the timestamp in for the last stream because I don't think I did that. But anyway, I'll take care of it later. But yeah. So if you're watching in the future, hopefully I'll have a timestamp for when the like breakdown actually starts. But yeah, we're gonna break down Vapid Hedonistic Garbage in this video, and yes. That's happening. So that's fun. Actually, in the meantime, maybe we just play this. Because this was actually in the same project. I'll get to this later, I'm sure. Little Perpetuum mobile.
Experienced or something like that, or some, I don't know.
I guess this part was never supposed to be that loud. 5. Oh my God, 5. Well, it's not 5 initially, right? It's like this is like, sorry, we get a 7 and then a 5. All right. I wonder if that's actually in sync. If it's not, that's unfortunate. But it was in sync in my perception in real life. And it sounded sick. Septuplet swing is something I want to investigate more. I didn't do any on this album, but in the future maybe. I did obviously whole song. I had a whole song in quintuplet swing. And we had plenty of groupings of 5 and a couple of actual quintuplets, but mostly just like 5 groups, kind of like this, right? But then of course Wabin fully in 5, good stuff. All right, so I suppose let's just start, right? Let's just start with Vapid Hedonistic Garbage. So this was obviously a big track. Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead and actually check out the arrangement. And it actually started, so fun fact, it actually started, let me pull this up. Well, actually, did it start like this, or did I add this in later? So this right here is like, look at that, 2.5 million, are you seeing this shit? 2.5 million views. That is the most views I've ever got on anything. Even more than the most popular polyshapr post. The most popular polyshapr post, which is down... It's somewhere. Where is it? Has 1.8 million views. So similar scale. Like they're similar in scale. It has more likes. This one was more liked. It's like it's 32-1 of harmonic series played as a polyrhythm, and this is like, I don't know why it like really popped off, but it did for some reason. And I had already done like a giant one. Oh my God. Yeah, this one has the lick in it, which was crazy. I just totally stumbled upon that. But it's... like, it's right there. The lick. This was back when I was using matplotlib colors. Like... Back when I was using matplotlib colors, way before there was a website, public UI. Man, I mean, it was always a website, but it wasn't public. And Man, the ye olden days of polyshape. I remember this one, like I didn't even have like the function to like generate a big rhythm and like generate the shapes. It was like all manually inputted. This was the one that like started it all though. Oh man. Score follower saying, "Am I?" Oh, score follower said that. Did I even know who score follower was at that time? Score follower is like a big deal. Anyway, yeah, this one has an appreciable amount as well. Anyway, okay, what am I talking about? The thing is, like, yes, this one is cool, but like, why is this one the most popular one? Like, I feel like so many of these other ones are way more interesting to look at. Like, this one is probably still the prettiest one. Look at that. I mean, man. Now this is shit you cannot do on the website, because what I did here is I'm doing like the color wave stuff, which I don't know if you think was on the website at that point, but I'm not redrawing the background, so I'm just like drawing it over itself, and so it's like paint mixing, but like this person says scared geometry. I think they meant sacred geometry, but maybe they were meta playing that, but they said scared geometry, and so I was like terrified. Oh no, I don't like my own things. Actually, I think don't I like wait, where's my pins? Don't I like this one? Yeah, I left a like on this one, because this one's like the pinned one. I don't know why this is my pinned one. I guess I just really like how it looks. Speaking of things that are not on the website, this one has like this like fall off for the stroke weight, right? The inner shapes are thinner than the outer shapes, which gives it, I don't know, it gives it a nice sense of depth, I suppose. I still don't see this as 3D. I think a lot of people see this as 3D, but I still don't see it as 3D. And maybe, I'm curious whether everyone sees it as 3D or whether like half of people see it as 3D, because I'm curious whether I just happen to not see it as 3D, or do I not see it as 3D because I've like worked with it so much and I'm like intimately aware of the like two-dimensional math that makes it all work. I don't know, but I mean, anyway, we've got new stuff in polyshapr land, but this post, where'd it go? Oh, it's not a, wait, yeah, this right here. So most views I've ever gotten on anything, and it's this. It's the beginning of Vapid Hedonistic Garbage. Just like Instagram Reels, it's Vapid Hedonistic Garbage. How poetic, right? Little did he know. Okay, so immediately off the bat, let's talk about like stuff going on, you know, like line, you know, not super fast actually, but nice, right? Little anticipation, you know, we set up the beat and then we anticipate 2 beats. So he's like, we're gonna play 3 beats, but then we're gonna anticipate the next 2, and then we're gonna land back on 3. Like, hell yeah. So this is a recurring kind of like shape that I use a lot in this arrangement, or it's like a shape, not exactly a shape, but I guess it's a shape like over time and vertically as well. But it's this, just like it's that, but then you hit the root afterwards, right? So now when you chain a bunch of those together, it can sound really cool. So in this case, this is doing 3 of those chained in fourths going downward. So what's the top one? It has a B on the top, so it's E. So yeah, it's like E, right? And you've probably heard that sound before, like, right? You probably heard that sound, but in this case, it's like, yeah, so, so you circle of fourths, right? Or arguably circle of fifths, because you're kind of just like, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about the fact that we're going down by fourths, but that's the same as going up by fifths. So we're going on the circle of fifths. We're actually, right? We're literally just like going, what is it, clockwise on the circle of fifths. However, you could, depending on how you think about it, this is also like backwards, because if you were like doing like 5 of 5s, which is arguably like the original, like the oldest way of going around the circle of fifths is doing 5 of 5s, right? Because even in like fairly old music, you'll get the right, like you'll get that like 2 dominant 7 to 5 and to 1, and that is going up by fourths, and arguably that's like the like more default way of I don't know. So anyway, but this is going by fourths, and then we go back to the G minor 9. Oh God. And then it's like, yeah. So the chords here are just like, you get a minor 9 chord, you go up a voice, or you go up an inversion, and then you hit this, which is like, I mean, just basically like you go down a step in the bass. Pretty much you're just playing the major chord of that. You could say, like, maybe you could argue that really what I'm doing is more of like a this to this to this, right? And I think in some cases maybe that's more explicit than others. Right, like this. Yeah. Oh, okay, right. That's not, we're not in G minor yet. We will be in G minor later because this song modulates all over the place. But okay. I want to make sure that I can actually like we can see what we're supposed to see. The song modulates all over the place, so that's the thing. But we are here. Sorry. We're not? Okay, I'm totally wrong about where we are. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, this is where we hit the F. Okay, sorry. This is where we hit the F major 6/9, and then we go to F dominant with what I call spider voicings. So spider voicings are all over my music in general, like all over chamber music in general, but especially in this track, they're just everywhere. There's a lot of minor 9 chords that are voiced like this, where you have the minor 7, the 9, and then the minor 3, and then the 5. So it's like, right? That voicing is like a favorite voicing of mine, and it is just all over the place. And then for like 13 chords, you do this kind of voicing, which is this, right? I'm literally playing this chord right here, F13, add 9. And I call it a spider voicing because it has like this little body in the middle, and then it's got other notes that are farther out. So basically, a spider voicing is just any voicing where you have a cluster in the middle, and then you have 2 notes that are on either side of that cluster that are like at least a third away from the cluster, right? So, or does a minor third count? I think a minor third counts as well, but usually it's a major third. I'm trying to think, like, because in this case, it's like there's a major third of gap here, there's a fourth gap here, there's a major third gap on both sides. So, yeah, like, I mean, what I call this, like, if you just play like a vanilla minor 7 chord in second inversion, is that a spider voicing? I don't think so, actually. It doesn't feel right to me. So yeah, I guess any chord where you have a cluster in the middle and then you have 2 notes that are on the outsides that are at least a third away from the cluster, that's a spider voicing. And so this is a spider voicing, and this is a spider voicing. And yeah, so in this case, what chord are we actually on? We're on F. So we're on F, or it's not F, but F sharp. So it's like and what do we hit there? We are just hitting like an E major 7. Yeah, so we're hitting like F minor, F sharp minor 9, E major 7 as a passing chord to get to E flat minor 9. And then we kind of go back and do that a bunch, but on the way down, we do this bit, like, which is again that same kind of gesture, except in this case we're going down by fifth, and we're only doing 2 of them instead of going down by fourths and doing 3 of them. So this is just like, right, sorry, yeah. So it's like, right. So we kind of hit the major chord of where we're going, and then we go to the minor, which, you know, is a nice little motion that I also like to do a lot. So it's kind of repetitive, and then we get this big build up. Now, before we do that, let's talk about the actual track for a moment. So the kind of like main thing with this track, right, is this instrument. I'm going to turn this instrument on in MIDI. So this is I do have a wrist brace on, so that makes it really hard to play certain things. Also, there's latency because if I put it on the audio box driver, then it's lower latency, but then it won't show up in the stream. Tough. I'm never gonna be able to like show my piano skills properly on stream. Oh, we're gonna talk about this as well. But yeah, so this is kind of like the central focus of the song, and actually, let's go back to this. So this was the actual first thing that I made in this project. Is I had this thing, and let me just like put the filters up. Right? So this is this like perpetuum mobile thing. That's a term from Adam Neely, I believe. So yeah, it's like kind of like an arpeggio, but not exactly, right? It's not like a melody, but it's not like chords, but it's not like a scale either. It's like something in the middle, but it is perpetually moving, and so we call it this, I guess, perpetuum mobile. But so that's like what I call the arrangement view for this. And this actually, of course, is the like final canonical track of the album.
So it's kind of like,
because the actual last track in the like release is like Slapjig sped up, but that's like just a special version of one of the chord tracks. So canonically, this is the last track of the album, and that's why in the full album video, this is the last thing, and you actually don't get the sped up Slapjig version. Anyway, and so it has this vocal.
well, okay, I guess Natalie's only ever tasted.
But the vocal came much later, right? This was like the first thing that I made, and it's just because like this sound is just so like, it's just so good. And what it is it's 2 keyscapes, which is a lot of memory and processing, but it's the Uber upright is one of them, which is on multiple tracks. It's also on Does She Know? And I was put onto Uber upright by Israel Strom, who features on the 3rd track, which is the one that I broke down previously when I was breaking down chamber music stuff on this. But he told me about Uber upright, and I was like, oh, I've never tried that. And then I tried it, and then I made this, and I was hooked. And then I found this other thing that was cool called a dociola, or a dociola, I don't know. But it looks like it's like a hammer dulcimer, but a keyboard instrument. I don't know. It's a thing, but it sounds really cool. You know, it's this like kind of acoustic plucky thing, but it's like so, it's just like that, you know? And what's cool as well is that like the instrument itself is actually a keyboard instrument. So I'm not like, it's not like I'm playing like a guitar patch on the keyboard and trying to pass it off, right? This is actually a keyboard instrument. Admittedly, these keys look really weird. What is going on with these keys? Like, why is the top half like an actual piano, but then the bottom half is like cursed? I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that, but like it sounds cool. And when you layer them together, you get this great attack and you get the great tone. And you get like the, oh yeah, bass, piano tone. It's so good. And so basically I just went crazy with this sound and I made like 9 minutes of music with it, because this thing is, you know, is like a minute long as well. Like this thing is just under a minute and this thing is just over, this thing is just over 8 minutes. So it actually adds up almost exactly to 9 minutes. And that layer patch is playing the entire time, like except for the first couple of seconds, where we have our apple stab shaker thing. That's what's going on. I just like this sound is so good, that layer. So lots of syncopation. It's this like chord bass pattern that I play a lot. It's also in What Mustard Tastes Like and on several other tracks. Let me know. But this track modulates a lot, and it has a lot of minor 9 chords. Voice has spider voice. But I was really proud. So let's talk about this section now. This build up, right? Love a good long note that just like, you know, changes every now and then. Right? The voicings, you know, we're just going kind of back and forth. Now the real build-up starts, right? So let's talk about this part. This part's really fun. Chordal harmony on top, but actually secretly this is just a sus4 chord, because the bass is not a fourth below. The bass is a, sorry. In this case, it's actually not even that, right? This is actually a tritone below the this part, right? And so and then we finally like drop this to like resolve it to be an actual like sus chord, basically. But anyway, let's talk. Like the chords or whatever, right? I mean, they're good, they're fun, but and we'll talk about them more. But check out this bass, right? So let's see, where's the bass? Here. So the bass here is doing this really cool thing where it doesn't play on the 1, but it kind of sounds like it's playing on the 1 because there's kick drums on the 1. Usually, what you might do, right, is you might have the bass do this, and you just depend on the side chaining of the kick and bass to like keep them from fighting one another. But that means that you're having to, you know, like ramp up a compressor on the downbeats every time, which is maybe not ideal actually, and maybe you don't need that, because maybe you can just only have the bass on the end of the beat. And maybe that's fine, and I think it totally is. It's much more obvious when, you know, the kick is not playing. But when the kick is playing, like you can tell for sure that there's no bass hit on 1, but it doesn't feel like anything's missing because of it. Sorry. Right. Oh, here? Wait. Where the frick am I? Right. Yeah, I guess there's like some like the like piano bass is already playing here, but like the real bass is matters a lot more, right? Like like you could imagine that's just like a really extreme like really extreme sidechain effect, right? You could imagine that. So, you know, it's cool. And then we got to talk about this. Well, specifically this and this. So yeah, this one just goes straight into it. There's nothing fancy because we're gonna do fancy things later in the track, and we wanna kind of set up like. You need to set up like the vanilla version of going into the drop in order for the other ones to like have more impact, I think. Now, arguably, you could just do something different every time and make it crazy every time, but it's like there's some level at which you want like the break, you want like to hit the downbeat and then you have a break instead of the drop, and the drop comes a beat or 2 beats later or something. Like at some level, like you want. I think like the intention behind a move like that is to like subvert expectations, but you got to have expectations to subvert. And so I think this does that well. And I think it also still like just sounds good anyway, but yeah. So this is a high pass that's opening up, right? Band 1 frequency. So that's like the lowest band, and it's well, okay, for you, I guess we'd go that way, or wait, no. Wait, what? How does that work? I guess, am I mirrored? My video must be mirrored because like what I see in my OBS is what you see. And like that is the correct. Anyway, okay. But it's like correct for me too. So that must mean that my OBS camera is mirrored in the preview. Okay, anyway. And that makes, yeah, of course it is. Yeah, it is. Okay. Very cool. Too smart for my own good in the past and not smart enough now. Okay. We'll open up a high pass. No big deal. Of course you open up a high pass. You're going into a drop. You want to take out bass so that when the drop happens, the bass comes back in and it's like super impactful or whatever. Okay, no big deal. But check this out. Okay, so here we have the same kind of thing happening, right? Same voicings, and they're all moving parallel, and we're going into the drop again, right? Now, in this case, we do a little deceptive thing, right? So we set up our expectations, now we're subverting them. With a sick keyword bass line. Oh my god. I worked out and like, oh my god, I remember like working on the timings of this. Anyway, we'll get to that again later when we get to that part of the track. But check this out. The value of this that we go up to is 35% here. The value of this that we go up here is 38%. Now, it's probably fine if these were the same, like whatever, right? It's probably not that big of a deal. But the reason why this high pass goes up higher is because the notes themselves go up higher. Or sorry, lower? Yeah, the notes themselves are lower. Like the high pass needs to be higher because the notes are lower. And so it's basically like compensating for the fact that the notes are lower so that the like overall frequency profile is actually more similar between them. And like I didn't do any like fancy like analysis to make sure that the frequency profile was the same. I just used my ears, right? And ultimately that is what matters. Like that has to be the ultimate arbiter is just your ears. I mean, unless you don't want it to be, I guess. But my goal for this one was just to have fun. That's why it's called Vapid Hedonistic Garbage. It's not it, you know, like it's. I kind of like how like you know this like my most popular reel that I put zero effort into. It's like literally the lowest effort video I've ever posted anywhere. It's a 10-second video of me stabbing an apple, and it's the most viewed thing I ever made. And you know, whatever, man. Like, I'm glad though that polyshapr like has views too, because polyshapr is like super cool and actually like very intellectually stimulating as well. But you know, whatever. And maybe there's like something poetic about calling this track Vapid Hedonistic Garbage and starting it with the sound that blew up on reels with zero effort. But really, the reason I called it this is because this track just has, like, I didn't try to make this track mean anything. I didn't try to make this track, like, have a specific structure to it. I didn't even really try to make, like, a main melody for this track. I think, like, it has a very strong chorus with the keyboard groove, and it does have like a recurring melody kind of with the synth part, but it's like a really complicated melody if you think of it as a melody. Like it's more like a solo that happens multiple times, and it's a little different every time, of course. And then at the end you get like a whole like second half of it that's like completely different. So anyway, it comes off more as a solo, but it is also recurring, so that makes it kind of like a melody, right? But yes, the point was that this track is like, it's just fun. Like I'm just having fun. Mainly, that is not the right patch, but anyway, mainly I'm just having fun with this patch. Like, right, like I can't. Latency, wrist brace. I can't play right now, but. Like it's just fun. This patch is so fun, and so I just kept going with it. I made an 8-minute track. I think this is one of the longest. I think it's the longest like single track record that I've made where it's like a fully produced track. I composed an orchestra piece that was longer than this, but not by much. It was like a 9-minute piece, and I did that like my senior year of high school. So that's like my longest singular piece I think so far. Was that 9-minute orchestra track, which is on my channel, by the way. It's called On Artificial Intelligence, and it was done in 2019 before COVID, but before like AI became like something that the public was concerned with. But I was interested in it at that time, and I was getting into neural nets, and I was going to go to college and do AI, and I did go to college, and I did do AI in college, but then now I don't do that anymore. But anyway, but that was before ChatGPT, right? I mean, that piece was composed even like I think before. That was well before like DALL-E 2 even. Like generative AI was something like not something that people were concerned about at all at that time. And they wouldn't be concerned about generative AI for like another year or two after that, I think. Like I think DALL-E 2 was really the turning point where it was like, we are worried about things now. But and then, you know, things have kind of gotten worse in a lot of respects since then. But yeah, anyway, this was way before DALL-E 2. This was way before ChatGPT, and I wrote a piece that was very optimistic, I think. Like if you really like follow the narrative of it, like it's a very optimistic piece, and like it had a fairly explicit narrative, like the way that I wrote it. And it was this piece that was like supposed to be about like, there's like we're gonna have struggles, but then ultimately it's probably gonna be, we can, harness it for good or whatever. And it's like, and I have this like specific thing of Immer going on in the background, or actually I suppose it's actually the foundation of everything. So background is kind of a bad way of putting it, but anyway, the piece is called On Artificial Intelligence. It's on my channel, and there's a video of me conducting it, and it's 9 minutes, and that was the only point that I was making. But, okay, back to this thing. I did not use a special tool. I just used my ears, but check this out, right? Listen to this. Listen to this. And then listen to this. Particularly those last two beats, right? Like that, versus, right? These are just like a little bit higher, right? Right? And it's just one half step, right? Like that's the thing. Oh God, where did it go? It's just one half step, but that's the thing. That like, you make these little adjustments, and it makes a difference. It makes a difference when you do hundreds of those things in a track. It adds up. Anyway, that was just a fun little thing that I thought was worthy of a breakdown. Okay, so where are we? We got like the bass notes that aren't playing on the beats to leave space for the kick drum, because I feel like and then there's that. So with the bass and the kick drum stuff, like I feel like just generally a lot of the times producers try to solve problems, and I'm guilty of this too, of course, try to solve arrangement problems with mixing techniques. And if your arrangement is really good, the mix should kind of be easy. Like the mix should kind of just fall into place fairly easily if the arrangement is good. Now, obviously, there'll be exceptions to that if you're just doing this really ambitious, really dense piece, like whatever. But I think generally speaking, especially when you're like self-producing and doing everything in a DAW kind of deal, as opposed to like recording 100 musicians. Like if you're recording 100 musicians, the mixing process for that is probably going to be pretty like time-consuming and difficult, and that's just to be expected. But I'm not doing that, right? I have just a few VSTs loaded up, and I'm playing some notes, and I feel like the mixing should be easy if the arrangement is good. Is that always true? No, but generally, I think it is. And so in this case, it's like I don't have to worry about side chaining the bass and the kick. I mean, they are side chained anyway, but it doesn't matter in this case because they don't interfere with each other in the arrangement at all. And it creates a nice little effect. So, okay, let's continue. Simple drums. And we get this Wangle line loop. Right? So this is called Loop Serial Deal, and it's from Wangle line, as you might expect. A lot of Wangle line samples in this album. And comes in halfway through, just adds some interest, and it's great, right? Sorry, it doesn't come halfway through. It comes a quarter of the way through. Because halfway through, you get the top line, right? The top line finally comes in halfway through. So yeah, these chords are like what we were already talking about. So like you got a minor 9 chord, and then you go up a voicing, and then you get this major 7, full step down, and then you get the minor 9, half step below that. Yeah, and you get this like voicing change. And then you get the I can't play it. This brace makes that particular move really difficult. Even though, and I'm playing it like an octave up. I like have my keyboard transposed so that I'm playing everything an octave above where it's sounding, but it's still really hard to play that. But anyway, so and yeah, that's what we're doing still. But it's groovy now. And then we modulate. So we modulate like every 4 bars during the choruses of this track, which means for this whole chorus section or drop section, whatever you want to call it, there are 4 different keys. And the keys basically go, we start and then we modulate up a half step and then a whole step and then another half step. So it's like I kind of think of it as like 2 pairs of keys that are a half step apart. And then later when it comes back, we're like up even more. Like we're up, I think another half step. So like the notes would be like those would be our keys. And then now it's gonna be like this, right? We're gonna go to those are our keys, right? Those weren't the actual keys, but that's just like relatively what's going on, right? So one thing I thought was kind of fun is that for these modulations, like I'm not trying to do anything like tonally really fancy to make the modulations work. I'm just kind of like doing something that's very boldly chromatic and then going to a new key. But, I did want to make it like flow nicely. And so what happens is that we get all these walk-ups. We get a walk-up, and then we get a walk-down right here. Right, so every other modulation we walk up to, and every other modulation we walk down to. Although, I guess going into the chorus, we walk up, and then we walk up again. But, like, within the chorus, it's walk up, walk down, walk up, walk down. But the walk down goes out, and so, yeah, I don't know. I guess arguably, yeah, there are 2 walk-ups in a row. But what we do here, right, is when we have these notes here, you can see how the bass note walks up like this, and it jumps by a whole step first, and then by a couple of half steps, and then the key is this, right? Those 3 beats going into the modulation or going into the drop, the new drop, because I guess all of these, these are all modulating every chord. Like, modulation is not really a great term for what's going on here, right? Because we're taking chords and we're moving them without changing the voicing at all, just completely moving them parallel. Yeah, kind of parallel. Yes, parallel. It's confusing because when you talk about like parallel modes, those are modes that are on the same key center, right? And so like this is like obviously changing the root note every time. So then it's like, but this is also called parallel motion. Anyway, okay, so parallel motion of the same voicing. We're not really modulating. We're just doing that, right? Like, but then here we're in a key for a little bit at least. It's like we're not in, like, it's not like the main chorus section here is diatonic anyway, but there is still like a sense of like there's a key that it's in, right? There's still, even when all your chords don't fit together into one diatonic key, or any particular like, melodic minor mode or something, like there's still often a sense of like I'm in a certain key because I'm going to return to that same chord over and over again. But then if I do the same whole like chord progression but I shift it up, like that's still a modulation even if we weren't clearly in a particular key before. We've still moved everything up and kept the same like relative motions between chords, right? And then we go or whatever. I played that wrong. Like that, right? It's like we modulated between those two, even if they aren't internally diatonic. Okay, but notice we walk up chromatically in the bass, but then for that last one, we go by a whole step. And I think what this does is it just makes it a little exciting. Like it's a little more exciting. It's kind of along the same vein as like why you like ramp up a high pass right before the drop. It's like we're like going there, but then our last jump is bigger, right? And so you kind of almost like pull back before you really do the drop, so that the final leap is really big and exciting. And having a whole step means that like we're still stepwise, but it's just a little bit more exciting to go by a whole step when you make that final leap. I say this because here it's a whole step and here it's also a whole step. All right, here it's also a whole step. Here where we go down, it's not a whole step because we're going down, and so that's different. Here it's like a major third, I think, interval between. Yeah, we go D to A sharp, which is B flat. Yeah, FL Studio always labels the notes with sharps. There's probably actually a setting to change that, but I don't want it to always label them with flats either. I don't know. I'm just used to it at this point. But yeah, when we go up, we modulate by a whole step at the last moment. It looks like here we actually also go down by a whole step at the last moment, except we don't actually make it there because it cuts the pattern there and goes into something else. But originally, this is how this went. But let's play through the second half of the chorus and get some context for that. I was definitely channeling Bohemian Rhapsody for this part. So we'll get to this section in a second. This is kind of the closest thing to like the main melody, I suppose, because this kind of does recur throughout the track a few times. But yeah, so there's two things layered on here. So there is a layer. Now, why am I not actually using the layer? That's a good question. I know there is a reason. I don't remember exactly. I think it has something to do with like the pitch bend not coming through on both of them or something like that. But it sounds like it is now. I mean, it sounds like it's going through on both of them, so I'm not sure. Yeah, for whatever reason. I guess, okay, so definitely at the beginning here, you can clearly tell. Oh, yeah, and then there are moments. Okay, so there are some moments where I actually need them to be in different octaves, so that's probably why. And then I didn't want to, like, split it 3 ways. So the layer is basically just for me to, like, be able to... Well, I think the layer in reality is, like, at some point I was like, oh, I can just do it with a layer. And then I realized I couldn't, and it's probably not actually used anywhere. But it's nice to be able to... It's nice to be able to play the layer and then just like get ideas down. Obviously at this part, like, you know, we've got some stuff going on, right? So this pluck kind of comes in and you can hear it. Maybe you can't hear these first few, but you can kind of hear the last few of them at least, as they go do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Oh, we actually... Okay, I route them both into the same mixer channel. I didn't even realize that. Okay. Without the plug, it's just kind of like... It's fine, I guess, but... The pluck gives it just more definition, right? And I think it's just much nicer with that. And, yeah... I don't know. I mean, I played most of this, like, I edited it, of course, but I played it, and I think this is probably the original key that I played it in, right? Like, maybe not, actually. Yeah, that doesn't make sense. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Anyway, so I played most of this, but I edited a lot, and I think like the big important thing with this one was just like micro timing, right, or micro rhythm, like getting the subtleties of like eighth note lines and triplets, and like just making them feel right. And I spent a lot of time on that with this part. So you can see like the notes are not exactly on the grid, right? But some of them are, and like the amount that they're off of the grid and whatnot, like that matters. And that is something that I spent a lot of time on. So that's cool. That's fun. But okay, let's get to this section now. Bohemian Rhapsody like break thing. But so this is like, we've got a syncopated bass line, we've got a metronomic staccato chord thing, and then we get this piano line in 16ths, and then we get this plucky synth line in triplets, and then we get a slow synth line that's like sliding around, being melodic and stuff. So we've just got all these like different parts, and there's not actually like, you know, that many layers, right? There's just 5 things going on. Whoop. But they all do kind of different things, and they all have different sounds, and they all work together to make this like really nice little section, which is very different from the rest of the track. Like this is, you know, very, very different from the rest of the track. It's still using all of those, you know, same parts. Although I think actually the dolciola is, I don't think, being played here at all. Oh, it's being played in the metronomic chord part, but not in the bass line. This bass line part, this is just the uber upright. There's no dolciola playing. And so this is again a spider voicing minor 9, and it's just 2 chords. Like we just go between like, let's see, which chords actually are we using? Yeah, that's right. So it's like E flat minor 9, D flat minor 9. That's it. Okay, and then I guess there's some more stuff at the end here, but basically like the gist is those 2 chords. And so it's this like polyrhythmic counterpoint, which is really fun. So, you know, because these are doing like the like high piano line is doing 16th notes, and then the triplets are coming from the synth pluck, and so yeah, you just have like all these components. You have all the components. You have the slow thing, you have the 2 fast things that are doing a polyrhythm, and then you have the syncopated bass line, and you have the like chords that are being played as this like staccato metronome thing, and it just comes together really nicely. It's like everything fits together. I'll be honest, like these parts that have a bunch of notes, I just like heard the notes. I just heard the line. I played the line. I did not think at all about it really. Like I knew what chord and what key I was in, I guess, but like these just were like, oh yeah, of course I'll play this. Like I pretty much immediately audiated and knew exactly what I wanted for this line. And then for this line, this is kind of like a perpetual mobile thing where I was just like, oh, I know what chord I'm in, so I'm just gonna like, okay, and I'm again, it's difficult with the latency and the hand brace, but the gist is that I'm just kind of like playing. I'm just kind of playing notes, and I did this exact particular kind of perpetual mobile thing. I also did at the end, like in the last section of Damn It, there's this like kind of synthy-ish thing that comes in and is doing, I think it's also doing triplets. And it's doing this very, very similar, same kind of thing. And yeah, it's not, I kind of want a more specific name for it than perpetual mobile actually, because it is it's a very particular kind of thing. But yeah, that's there. So this section, which yeah, definitely was channeling Bohemian Rhapsody a little bit. We bring some textures in to like bring ourselves back into the main instrumentation of the thing. Yeah, and this fast as fuck solo synth needs to be slow for a moment. Some textures, a little flutters, nice stuff. Okay, and then it goes fast again, fine. And then we get back to this thing, which was originally attached directly to that, right? So originally, did I already do this? Like originally it was literally just this, right? Like it just went straight into that. And I guess you would have had like this part in the highlighter as well. So this like synth part, at this point at least, it's kind of like I call it a highlighter, where you have this like really bright synth that's kind of quiet that doubles everything, to give it more texture, some more air. straight into that. But so I had to like stitch these together, right? Because this part existed before this part, so we had to stitch them together, and it took me a while to figure out like this top line, like holding out the top note and then doing the other notes. Because I tried this, of course, but like no, and then I tried like not doing the walk down in the top line. Like, no, that doesn't work either. But in the end, this ended up being the thing that works. Hybrid. Some similar motion to get us back into basically a build-up. Like this ends up being kind of the transitional section, and then we actually get this cool like hi-hat part that I actually physically played. I mean, it's chopped up a bunch, but I physically played this, right? There's like wider on it or something. Oh, it's a phaser, yeah. Because why not put a phaser on the hi-hat? But I love that kind of feeling of that like triplet. Like super fun. Yeah. And then, there's just like several novel things that weren't there before, right? Like we didn't have this texture last time we did this build up. Actually, sorry, we didn't have like any of this. Like this was the last time we did this build up, right? So you can see like we have all this other stuff going on. Hi-hats and textures and all sorts of things. Oh yeah, let's unmute everything. And here's the three of them in fourths again. And then we've got our chorus thing, but it's not the chorus yet. It's like a little teaser, right? And this is all kind of the same stuff chord-wise. But there's more stuff going on texturally in the sound design. We've heard this stuff before. And then once again, based on the hands of beats instead of on the beats, we also have both. And slightly lower high pass because the notes go higher. They just go straight up this time. And I love a good crash that can come on a snare drum instead of a bass drum every now and then and bring us back in. So I love this entrance. I love this break. So this, you get the full like keyboard bass experience with this patch. There used to be a bunch of stuff here, right? So I used to have, can I select this? I used to have all this stuff, right? So it was like, it's gonna sound like this, I guess. No, I mean it was okay. It was never gonna sound like that because I filled in a bunch of extra notes in here. Now, admittedly, I did not actually play this like I wrote in the notes in MIDI. But check this out. So these triplets. No, never mind. These ones are perfectly timed. Yeah. So I think everything is perfectly timed. Hang on. What is that one doing? Yeah, okay. These are These are all perfectly timed. I did try out some like adjustments to the timings, but in the end, perfect timing felt the best on this one. So I think literally everything in here is perfectly on its division. Like one thing that I tried out was like basically having this be like delayed a little bit, but then fast, which can sound more natural sometimes, but in this case, no, it sounded best. And I think we do 2 crashes here, but they're panned, right? They're panned left and right a little bit. have maybe more stuff going on than last time. More percussion elements. We've got a second wangle line loop going on now. We've got this one, which came in earlier, like over here during the build-up. But now it's also happening during the chorus, right? These loop ringy clonkies. Oh yeah. And I think this is probably like, there's probably a cutoff filter that's like, let's see. This one? Yeah, there it is. So good, right? Couple of claps. I think those are real, right? Those are real claps. Yeah, these are real claps. This is me clapping. Incredible. And that's for this section because there's another thing. No, that's just the first modulation. Okay. Oh, my bad. On like all of the tonal stuff, so it's this 3 filter, and it's this bandpass, and I spent quite a bit of time like adjusting this bandpass. So the bandpass parameters that really matter here the most are these two things. So it's actually, I didn't spend as much time on like the automation clips you see here as I did on like setting the kind of shape of the band itself. So that's like, so okay, if these are all the way up, this is what it sounds like. Because it's not doing anything, right? All of them are up. If they're all the way down, that's like the most extreme, like narrow band, right? Now, if I put this one like up here, basically it's a high pass, and vice versa. Here, it's going to be basically a low pass that opens up, right? So then, like somewhere in the middle, kind of still hear what's going on, but yeah, I mean, where did I end up putting it? Here, I'll just Control Z until it goes back. Yeah, so I ended up with it right there. I adjusted those sliders for a while, but yeah, the idea I think is that I wanted a balance between like the bandpass effect being very obvious, but also like you can still hear the keyboard part like pretty well. And the thing is that this isn't just a bandpass, right? It's also a break where there's no more like drums or sound effects or anything. Like it's just the tonal parts, and there's no bass either, I think. So there's no kick drum, there's no snare drum, or there's no, this is also a kick drum, right? There's like 2 kick drums. Or sorry, oh, that's tambourine. No, there's not 2 kick drums. What am I saying? There's no kick drum, there's no snare drum, there's no shaker that's actually secretly an apple being stabbed, right? And so I wanted to kind of be an instrumental break, but I felt like I couldn't just do like nothing on this, right? Like, this is doing nothing on it. And, that's still like something, but originally I think it was just going to be like this break from all the drums and percussion, and there was no bandpass initially. But then I figured out that I could do this like bass break for the drop, and then once I put that in, it was like, this needs something more. This like needs something else to differentiate it, because this is an instrumental break where you drop everything else out and it's full tone. And so then this is like an instrumental break, but it's got more instruments, but we compensate by making it not full tone and doing a bandpass over it. So it was kind of like this like balancing act, I suppose. Right? You have that, and then you would have this again. So this is how it would sound in that case. that's fine, but I just felt like adding a bandpass made it a lot more exciting, and a lot more interesting to listen to. There we go. So we get the bandpass. And those crashes are like cans. Like these crashes are can left. Same synth line, right? Same melody. So it goes a little crazier at the end. And there we go. Right? It's just like a little bit of a flamethrower there. And I thought that that might be where the song ended. I thought that I might end the song there. This is a pretty good length, 5 minutes long. Like, that's a great length for me. Like, the 5-minute song is great. But then I just heard more. It was just the kind of thing where I'm just like, I'm hearing more here. And I was like, am I really hearing more after 5 minutes? And it's like, yeah, I am, because this layer of the Dolceola and the Uber Upright is too good. It's too good. I can't just make 5 minutes of music with it. I gotta make more. So yeah, we do this. And I thought a lot about, like, or I tried. I went back and forth for a while on whether I should do just this or right. And then also, like, you know, it would have been kind of like this. Right? Or should I do no shaker? Right? Or should I do like 3 but no shaker? And in the end, you know, I just decided like that this was my favorite version. I feel like the shaker is almost this kind of bridge where it's like, okay, we are dropping everything, but not quite everything right away. And then we drop everything and go into this totally new kind of section where we're doing these long sustained like arpeggios with the instrument that so far we have not really done that with. And I need to go for one moment, but I will be back in 1 second. Okay, actually, just kidding. I'm just gonna like play the track, and I'm just gonna play the track, and I think I'll be able to be back in time. Okay, here we go. That's hard. That's hard. But yeah, it's just so fun. It's my favorite one to listen to because there's the most of it. You know, it's like the other tracks are good, but like there's not as much of them because they're not as long. Well, you gotta tell me, I guess, next time. But you're here now, right? So does this mean you're like on your phone? I'm sorry. Let's see. Yeah. So, what kind of processing did you put on the keys? That's a good question. What did I put on the keys? Nothing. It's just Uber upright, maybe. I mean, there's some stuff going on because, like, you know, the keys go into line 1 master, which has this going on, and it has a compressor, and it has a filter. But this is for like when I'm doing like filtering stuff, and then that goes into tonal stuff, which has its own filters and EQs. And there's this like subtle EQ. This was like, you know, late stage, like, oh, I have to fix the problems with the bias with these headphones. So I remember like I put on like some MX50s or M50Xs and like listened through everything again and just like made tweaks if anything was needed. And then this is the new section. Okay, we're back. But yeah, the the keys have nothing really on them directly. The only thing is like they have this EQ. I think this is kind of interesting. Like, that makes a difference for sure. Like turning that on and off. So yeah, this is like a pretty aggressive low shelf. Like that is 469 hertz. Nice. That is really high. I feel like I didn't need to put it that high, but also it's fine being that high because what am I saying? Because the most of the information that you want from this keys part is going to be from the high end of stuff anyway. But yeah, this is applying to effectively like the whole like hybrid Dolceola Uber upright like conglomerate instrument, right? This EQ is, and so this is side chained to the kick. So there's a peak controller on the kick, right? And that is controlling the level. So essentially, this is just like essentially this is multiband compression. This is like multiband sidechain compression, except it's not actually compression. It's just ducking the low mids and everything below that. But yeah, so that means when you get this sound. This is what the piano sounds like by itself. Fun, right? Yeah, there's a little high shelf cutting on it. Makes very little difference though. So okay, yes, me too, Jonathan. Hell yeah. Okay. Yeah, and this was just I just played these chords and I don't think I thought about them much. Sometimes I think about chords, but usually I don't. Oh wow, we've got some visual glitching going on. I don't know what's going on there, but and then we were in Zoro's domain. Right? Like you cannot tell me I'm wrong about that. Like specifically this chord, like kind of hard to tell what the chord is, but it's like this. Right, so what is that? That's freaking So I guess the main thing there is just this, which is like an F, I suppose. Yeah, because then later we go. Right, so. But there's a B. I don't know how that works. But clearly it's an F chord because we get the. Right here, right? Boop, 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 boop. But yeah, somehow this just sounds like Zora's Domain. Okay, right. That's not actually where the chord starts. It starts on the F. Yeah, okay. That makes more sense. Yeah. Okay, so... Yes, indeed. And I thought about that, too. Like, when I was thinking, I was like, this is very IJ. This is very going back, etc. Yeah, IJ seems real strong. Who I talked about him. I mentioned him earlier on the stream as well. I don't know if anyone was even watching when I mentioned this because it was right at the beginning, but like this sound, which is what the whole track is kind of like based around. Like the whole track has this, like this sound is throughout the entire track. This Dolceola and Uber Upright thing, and Israel Strong put me onto Uber Upright and Keyscape, and it's so good. Like. Like, what if I played the What Mustard Tastes Like thing? How does that even go? Yeah. It's fun. And then Uber Upright by itself is this. It's I swear, man, I can play piano. It's the Riz Braze. Anyway. Zora's Domain, I'm telling you. Oh yeah. Also like this. So, okay, let's talk about a couple of things. This pattern, one of the last musical elements that was added to the album as a whole, is this little guy, this little shake. I think this may actually be the last like arrangement thing that happened in the entire album, because I think, you know, that might not be entirely true, but there were of course like lots of little mixing, mastering tweaks like at the end, but this I think was the last like addition to the arrangement of the entire album, that one pattern. So before it was like there was just nothing there. Cascade, what's up? Right, and I was just like, I was listening to the album, and it was like, it was like Monday or Tuesday, the week that it was uploaded, and I was like, there's just something, I need something there. And so, and I still took my time and deliberated on the velocity ramp up for this. Is very important. Like I spent some time. I didn't spend a huge amount of time, of course. There's not that many notes, but yeah, like the fact that the velocities aren't like this is very important, actually. Like if they were like that, this is what it would sound like. Okay. I mean, it's still gonna sound fine, but they're just too much. It's just too loud that way. Anyway, so okay, yeah, probably the last arrangement edition in the album. But actually, did I forget to mention this? This section over here, the like polyrhythmic counterpoint section, this section was the last section that was made for the album. This was not the last track. Actually, was this? I think this might actually have been the last track that I started for the album as well. But yeah, this was the last like whole section. Like this whole thing was just like empty for a while, and then I think like probably a few weeks before the album, I finally did this section. There are other like big musical parts, like a lot of the like half the violin on the record I did like the very last weekend before releasing the album. that weekend was crazy. I just like worked on the album like all day, every day for 3 days straight, up until uploading it. And yeah, so there were a lot of other parts that came in later, but this was the last like section to arise. Okay, now we come back in and we get a syncopated kick rhythm for the first time. Like the kick has always just been 4 on the floor for this whole track, and here we finally depart from that because we're in like the second bridge or whatever we want to call this. You're watching the breakdown, but you haven't heard the track? Okay, I respect it. I mean, that's fine. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. You should listen to the whole thing. Well, we will listen to the whole thing, of course, at some point here. But we're speeding up just a little bit. Just a little bit. Tempo ramp. Just a little bit. We're 10 BPM faster now. Oh, sorry, 9 BPM faster. We were 134, now we're 143. And, okay. We got to talk about this bass line. Woo! Okay, so, okay. There's a bunch of stuff that happens here. So, tempo ramp happens, and this is where you're like, okay, this song is really going somewhere, right? Why make this one the finale? It would have been... Why make this one the finale? It is the finale. What do you mean? Yeah, Amethyst is... Well, the thing is, I don't have like the like reverse stuff that Amethyst has, unless I'm misremembering which track Amethyst is. Like I don't have like the reverse stuff going on, but yeah, I see the similarities for sure. Now, okay. So, well, okay, it is not the last track. Like the last track is this, right? It's like
So it's kind of like a parody of Mary's Room. It's not really a parody though, because it does have its own different point. And it's not like I don't know. Like, I guess it's a parody of Mary's Room, but it goes like this, right? Natalie has only ever eaten mustard.
This is the like actual canonical last track of the album, but it's also like a meme track. So if you take out the memes and you do like the strict canonical version of the album, this is the last. This is like the last real track of the album, you know what I mean? So anyway. But the thing is, like, these are continuous. Like, that's the other thing is, like, the tempo that this one ends up at is the same as the tempo of this one. Like, this one's tempo is 152. This one's tempo ends at 152. Right? See this up here, tempo? Oh, God, CPU is struggling. Yeah, it's not supposed to sound like that. Oh well, you know, we'll make it. But okay, so we get the tempo. So yeah, I mean, where do I start with this? There's a lot that changes here, right? And we've got this part. It's pretty. It's nice. It's a big change of pace from the rest of the track, and that's really good when you're 5 minutes in. But it's still using this sound, and I'm like, I have more to do with this sound now. We start to ramp up the tempo. We get a syncopated kick drum rhythm, which we haven't gotten before in the track. And so now it's more like the kick and the keyboard have kind of swapped roles. Like the keyboard is the straight thing that's keeping the time, and the kick is the syncopated thing that's doing the rhythmic interest. But it's also like pretty now, and there's also a shaker coming back in. The apple stab shaker is coming back in. All this stuff's going on, right? But then here, when this first little hint, this is, you know, it's like foreshadowing. Like this is a pretty slow tempo ramp, and it goes up by 9 BPM, which is very, very much noticeable, but not extreme. It's just like a hint that like, okay, we're going somewhere. You know what I mean? Like we're doing something here. And then when this ends and we go back down, and it's like, weren't we building to something? Well, again, like you can't just like build directly to something. Well, you can. But it's cool to not, right? It's cool to build and then come back and then build again. And kind of like play with the expectations like that. But we go into some odd time here. That's the cool thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. it's not like consistent, right? Because here, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Like it's like, what? Actually, what is this? This is like 7 and then 4, right? This is like 7, 8 and then 4, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. No. Sorry, it is 2 7s. Yeah, this is 2 7s. Okay, this is 2 7s. Next is 2 7s. Yeah, no, this is actually just what was wrong with my counting before then? I felt like something was wrong. Maybe not. Right, so then it's actually 4 for this bit, and we land here. I don't have time signatures marked because it goes in and out. It goes between like 4 4 and 7 8 a bunch. But let's talk about this bass line, bro. Okay, so this bass line is so good. This was one of my favorite like little like I don't know, things that entrances, baby. Kind of getting like some similar vibes to like the counterpoint from earlier. Now here is the very IJ part. This part is so old IJ. Right? Like this is straight off of adaptation. Basically. Right? Maybe this part is less so now. But like, you know, the bells coming in and doing the groups of 5, right? We just have a piano scale instead of a riser. Why not? Okay, and then we also have this, a riser swoopy, but piano scale, okay, which was way too loud at first when I first played it in, which I was surprised by, but yeah, had to turn down the velocities of the high notes especially. Okay, so So we have these groups of 5 in this bell part. This is the like first and only time this bell part comes in. So first we get these notes, and I spend a lot of time trying to figure out like exactly like how to arrange these notes to fit with the time signatures that were going on, right? Because it's like it's not all 7 and it's not all 4. It's like a mix of them, right? So this is 4, right? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So it's like 2 measures of 4 and then 2 measures of 7, basically. Arguably 4 measures. But then this bell part goes from being very slow and kind of marking the time signatures like this. Oh, are we buffering? I hope we're okay. Okay, I think we're okay. Anyway, to being very fast, right? And actually, yeah, it starts with a group of 6, doesn't it? Yeah, to get into it. And I think that was probably to make this line up. I probably did that to adjust it so this could line up. Still doing groups of 5, but it's in triplets, I think. Or no, it's just in 8th notes. Oh wait, hang on. What is going on here? Sorry, these are 16th notes. And then yeah, it's doing like 16th note triplets. So just kind of like jumps, right? We don't like try to do anything like morphing the rhythm. We just kind of jump to the next layer of rhythm. And this is the chorus that we've heard before, but it's been resampled and chopped up. So if we take this and we just like listen to it as a whole, we can see what this is, right? So it's kind of like, it's just like distorted and reverb is applied, and I forget like what's already printed into this and what's in the mixer right now. 45. Yeah, so there's reverb on it, but the distortion I think happens earlier, or maybe not. No, actually, okay, so it's all happening in the mixer live. Sorry, yeah, now we're like, oh, there's probably gross beat doing weird stuff, right? Yeah. Now, I stole this. So the stutter effect comes from multiple things. Gross beat is one of them, and that's what I did here for this second part. This part, though, is just like chopped, right? I guess you're saying stutter, so this isn't really stuttering, right? Yes, gross beat is how I got the stuttering. And so I played around for a long time, like, and I iterated over this over not just like spending a long time, like in terms of like minutes spent in the project, but also just like over time, like, you know, over the course of weeks, like listening to it and thinking like, I don't really like how that one sounds. And then going back into like one of the stutters from gross beat here, I adjusted like kind of last minute. And I'm very glad I did, because it was this weird, like, some of the presets for the time graph in gross beat. Here, I'll show you gross beat. This is what gross beat looks like for those of you who don't know. It's this fun little, like, kind of record scratchy thing. It's for making like stutters and like record scratches, and you get like tape stop effects and like trance effects. So like I've used it before for like trance stuff. Like in Guppy, I put gross beat on my vocal and then put like reverb on that, and then it makes this like kind of trance vocal, and you literally have like, you know, presets for trance stuff. So anyway, so this is resampled, but there is, so the reverb on here, the secret with the reverb is that the decay is like all the way down. The decay, okay, not all the way. You could go one more. But the decay is at 0.2 seconds. So you don't really get anything like in terms of a reverb tail. This is actually a common technique, I think, for dubstep basses that Jesse Fuller, who was in chat earlier, I don't know if he's still around, told me about once upon a time, is that you put like a super low decay reverb on a bass, and that's like a thing in dubstep. And so that's on Birdwatching, which that would be fun to break down as well, because there's so much bass editing in that one. Maybe we'll just pull it up briefly at the end of this. I don't think I'm going to do like a whole live stream for Birdwatching, because nobody seems to really care about that track. And that's okay. It's my first dubstep track, really, but I still think it's really fun, and we'll take a look. But anyway, also I had a little mini New Year's party with some friends, and we played Birdwatching at like 11:59 and 28 seconds, so that the drop of Birdwatching, which is arguably like the hardest drop on the album, happened like on New Year's, and we were watching the Space Needle. So the Space Needle like does its big like firework right on the drop of Birdwatching. It's very fun. Anyway, okay, so this technique of resampling the chorus and chopping it up with reverb and distortion is stolen directly from Tennyson. And I don't know where Tennyson got it from, or if he like he came up with it himself or whatever. But you know, I'm sure he's not the first person to resample a chorus and put distortion and reverb on it. But it is a fairly specific thing. I don't know, chopping it up like this especially. So Tennyson has a song called "Hard to Pretend," and it is one of the best executions of a 4/3 type of polyrhythm feel that exists. It's like it's kind of like it's almost more of like a it's like a polyrhythmic meter as opposed to a polymeter. It's not a polymeter, it's more of a polyrhythmic meter. So it's like ambiguous, kind of between 4/4 and 6/8, and it's super good. And I'm not going to play it because it's copyright stuff, but it's super good. Check it out. One of my favorite tracks of the year for sure. And yeah, or it might have even come out in 2023, I'm not sure, but one of my favorite tracks that I listened to a lot during 2024. And he does this at the end of that track. He does it, and he doesn't do it for as long as I do it here. So the arrangement overall is very different, but he does this thing. And I was like, that's cool. I am going to steal that. So that's what I did. So I resampled my own chorus, put distortion and reverb on it, and that's how we get this. So what is the bigger idea here, right, is that we are going back into the same chorus effectively as we've gone into twice now, and it's a very repetitive chorus as well. So, there's been different things each time. Like the first time, you just go into it and it's the chorus. It's happening. You get the chords and the drum beat. Then you get like some aux percussion, 4 bars in, then 8 bars in, or I guess 8 bars in and then 16 bars in. You get the top line and it's great or whatever, right? And then the next time, you have some more like macro level stuff going on where it's like, okay, at the very start we actually don't go directly into it and we get this like little bass break. That's super cool. And then 8 bars later we get this band pass and all the drums drop out, and then we go into the top line again, but this time it's even more exciting because there's more textures and the top line goes crazy with this flamethrower thing like this. Right? And so there's just like more and more excitement built. Now we've departed from that for a while. We've explored some other vibes. We've had the kick drum take the syncopation and the piano do the metronomic stuff. And what are we going to do to get back into the chorus now? And the answer is something totally different. So in this case, the buildup is totally different, and then the way that you enter the chorus is also totally different. So these 2 times that we went into the chorus, yes, they're very different. Like this one has this break, right? And as opposed to this one, which just, goes into it. However, they both had more or less the same build-up, right? They both have this thing. They both have that thing, which goes into this like chordal voicing of a sus4 chord that moves parallel. This one moves slightly differently, right? But they've had the same build-ups going to basically the same kind of thing with these like kind of minimal changes that keep things interesting. So for the third time, it's like we're going to totally flip the script and everything's going to be different, except it's the same because it is the same chorus, but it's just like it's recognizable, but it's like gesturally unrecognizable or something like that. You get what I mean, right? And if it was the Tennyson song, if it was Hard to Pretend, after those first couple of bars of the resample thing, you just go back into like the main thing with the full arrangement and full timbre and all that. In this case, I'm like, no, we're milking this. We're going into something else because this is hedonism. This is vapid hedonistic garbage. I'm gonna do whatever I want, and it's gonna be fun, and I don't care. So then we go back. And this time you finally get the instrumental break. So one thing, one thing about making music is that the final product will exist and then it'll be cool. But there's like an experience of making music that you cannot get by just listening to music, because there's like a progression of how a song exists over time. And it's like, I know the lineage of this song and no one else does. And I think that's really cool. And so like for me, this section is especially meaningful to me because I know that when I was doing this band pass, like at one point in time, there was no band pass. At one point in time, there was no band pass and it sounded like this. Sorry, what? Oh, it's automated. At one point it sounded like this, right? And so there was this instrumental break where you've got all the tonal instruments going on, but none of the drums, and it's this little break. And that existed at some point during the creation process of the song, but it doesn't exist anymore because I ended up doing a band pass because the break at the beginning of the drop made it like kind of necessary to do that. However, I do end up getting this over here. Now, admittedly, there's a kick drum, but the kick drum isn't playing 4 on the floor. It's actually playing like with the syncopation. And there aren't any like high-pitched percussion elements, right? There's no snare drum, there's no shaker, there's no hi-hat, there's no tambourine. And so this kind of ends up fulfilling that role in the track so that exists somewhere in the track where it doesn't anymore from the part that's bandpassed. Because this is full spectrum, right? There's no distortion, there's no reverb, there's no bandpass, there's no filter of any kind. It's just kick drum on the syncopations with all the instruments playing this thing, right? And then we go back into it, but now the chops, now we get stutters, right? So this is the Grosbeat stuff. And this one right here, this is the one that I adjusted at the last minute. So I wonder if I can find what it was before. Like, no, yeah, I don't know what it was before. But yeah, okay, I don't think I'm gonna find it. But it was like, it had this like kind of record scratchy thing that really did not fit with the rest of the track. Like there aren't really record scratch tape stop effects in the rest of the track, and so that it just didn't really make sense. And I like the crazy stutter better, because it's like a progression of stuttering. Like you have this, which is like choppy, and then you have this, which has a little stutter. Right, there's a little, that's a big stutter, and then this one, oh, that is different. What is happening? Oh shit. Okay, that is not. Oh no. Okay, here we go. Right, and then you get the like most extreme stutter. So there's this kind of ramp of like how stuttery it gets. Those three crashes again that are panned, right? So and now it's faster. We're 9 BPM faster, right? And we're back into it for real. And then it's like, actually, let's depart again. Take out the kick drum, just clap. And it gets so hype, and we're a little bit faster now. Right, so there's these tempo ramps that happen. So it looks like it's struggling whenever the tempo ramps. The CPU is crazy. Oh boy. That is, yeah. So anyway, that's how it ends, and my computer could not really handle that while streaming, I guess. In fairness, there's a lot going on. Like there's several instances of keyscape. It's fast, and the tempo is ramping, and it looks like when the tempo ramps, the CPU usage goes up by like 50%. So that's rough. Reminds me of Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah, that makes sense. I never played Sonic, but yeah, it's fast, and I've heard that he's fast. I've heard that he goes fast. But yeah, okay, anyway. This last chorus, right, is like actually 50% longer than the rest of the choruses, and the top line synth plays for twice as long as it does in the rest of them. But we end the track with like a completely novel like synth solo basically on that top line, which is like, what are we doing? Like this is like the finale, this is the chorus, but we're ending on a like solo that's completely new stuff that you haven't heard before. What are we like? What about narrative? What about setup? What about call and response? What about callbacks? What about melody? It's like, fuck that. No, this is vapid. This is hedonistic. This is garbage, and I love it. So that's the idea, right? We're, and you know, like this shouldn't be like good songwriting, but I love how it sounds. I love listening to it. And I love how it just ramps up. It just gets faster and faster at the end. Of course, this is artificial. Like, I did not play this at this speed, and I edited it quite a bit for this part. But, you know, I did play this stuff. Like, I did play what you hear. This is just like a polished version of something that I played, and it's sped up. Like, but you can see, you know, from the velocities, and also probably if we look at the timings, like, the timings are not exact. The velocities are not exact. Like, And this is important. Like, even if you are going to speed stuff up, there's a lot of benefits from playing it in at a slower tempo or in a different key and then transposing it and speeding it up or whatever, because it'll make it sound more natural, because there are just all sorts of like patterns in how something will actually sound when a player plays it, that we will be able to pick on, that people pick up on, that people can pick up on, that are important to capture. So yes, this is not like I can't actually play. Well, maybe I could if I like really spent some time learning it, but I just played this approximately at a slower tempo, probably in a different key as well, and then I transposed and sped it up, but that's the beauty of MIDI and synths. But yeah, the tempo change thing, we can probably make this work better if we just delete these and just make them holds. And I don't know. For this last one, yeah, I don't know. You just do this. Make that one a hold too. Maybe we can play through it now. But I love taking the kick drum out and putting claps on all 4 beats, because that's another thing that like just hasn't existed in the track really so far. Like there's like been shakers and hi-hats and stuff on, and like tambourines on all 4 beats, but like we never just got like a 4 clap feel, and I love that 4 clap feel, so I had to put it in there. I remember like figuring this out and just like dancing in my room. This was me entirely. And then and the kick is super distorted at this point. So I turn on this wave shaper distortion to the kick to make it really fun. Yeah, so there we go. It survived. The CPU survived that time. So I didn't know that before, that like ramping up the tempo would make the CPU go crazy like that. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It makes intuitive sense to me that would cause issues at some level, because I think like there's probably a lot of optimizations that you kind of like can't do anymore if the tempo is changing continuously and you're like a synth generating stuff from MIDI. But yeah, let's see. Okay, a little hard to hear. Yeah, I figure it's probably a little hard to hear. I was hoping that I can still like make my voice heard over the track. Admittedly, I think my mic sensitivity is actually kind of low. I forgot about that. I should have done like a test for that. I usually do a test for that before streaming, but yeah, this should be a little better now. The like desktop audio is like minus 5 dB in OBS, but yeah, I think my mic was lower sensitivity than it usually is. So yeah, hopefully it'll still like be like somewhat audible, but yeah, that's my bad. I should have done that. Okay, let's see. Sonic Hedgehog. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Cass. What genre? I don't know. I mean, Jazztronica for sure, right? Like this is definitely Jazztronica, like more on the electronica side, I suppose. But it's very, I mean, it's very jazzy in a lot of ways, like, but also very not in a lot of ways. I don't know. Like, it's, you know, it's probably way more electronic music than it is jazz, but it's definitely both. So I would call it Jazztronica. I would say the most solidly Jazztronica track on the album is definitely Lentil Soup. That one's basically an Anomaly ripoff. It's not like, I didn't like copy a particular Anomaly track for it, but like it's very, very Anomaly inspired. And to me, like Anomaly is like the definition of Jazztronica. But this one is also this one's much more like complexive, right? Like Lentil Soup is like my Anomaly ripoff. This is like, it's a lot more than a complexive ripoff, but like the lead sound definitely resembles like the kind of lead sounds that complexive uses a lot, and just the fact that it's like a lot more on the electronica side, because complexive is like kind of all the way on the electronic side of Jazztronica. Like he's still Jazztronica, I think, but He's on that side of things. And then you have someone like, who's on the like more the jazz? I think of Anomaly as like the true jazztronica, and then on the more jazzy side, I don't know. Like Lewis Cole comes to mind, but I don't think Lewis Cole is even jazztronica. I think that's just new jazz. But yeah, that's what I would call it. Not aware of this genre. Big fan of jazz fusion music. Yeah, I mean, jazztronica is basically like, instead of rock and roll and jazz, it's electronic music and jazz, right? So, jazz fusion has the name already. And when you say jazz fusion, you assume that we're talking about fusion of rock and jazz. Jazztronica is just like a fusion of electronica and jazz, right? Or electronic EDM and jazz, right? So this one could have been called jazz fusion if this, if like electronic music or if like EDM existed before rock. But yeah. It is a fusion, but it is not jazz fusion, because that's just not the term for it. Yeah, I recommend it. I recommend it as a genre. Although, I don't know. Recommending genres is kind of a weird concept, isn't it? Like, I think it's a lot safer to like take a genre and then recommend an album or a artist or a track within that. But yeah, Anomaly is my go-to. Like, if you haven't listened to Anomaly's albums, you should listen to all of them. The chamber music inspirations playlist. Did you know there's a chamber music inspiration playlist, and there's a couple of complexive tracks on there, and that is because of this track mostly, to be honest. So let me find that. Yeah, so basically, boom, that is the chamber music inspirations playlist. And there's some Anomaly on there. There is some Jacob Collier. There is some Lewis Cole. There is some Tigran. There's some Knower. There's some Complexive. Hard to Pretend is on there, it's only on there explicitly because of this section of this track. But it's like, I stole that directly, so I put that on there. There are a few things. Like, I also stole... What did I steal? I stole a melody... I stole, like, the verse melody from A Pill in the Sea in Damn It. But yeah, okay, this is the track. I'm going to play it all the way through now. And hopefully I will be audible over it if I speak. But yes. Okay, this is not the end of the stream, though. I think we can look at some polyshapr stuff. We can look at other tracks. I kind of want to open Birdwatching and just, like, show you the project file because it looks crazy. But, yes. Apple Stab. I brought this up at the very beginning of the stream, but... Apple Stab. That is the shaker that you're hearing. Is that the second hit in this video. It's like a Trap Nation video. Oh God, it's getting too big. Slow down. chords. It's not that contrapuntal, but it's polyrhythmic, that's for sure. 4 against 3, baby. Fast 4 against 3. Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if dancing to your own music is a great watermark, but like, I do believe this is pretty good. I do think this is pretty good. So I will dance to it. And I did. I remember like when I first made the chorus, like the first time that I got the chorus together, I was dancing a lot. I was dancing vigorously in this room. I was so excited. And yeah, that's one of the best feelings when something that comes together like that. And yeah, it's also super fun to dance with other people to your own music. Turns out that's really nice. Who'd have thunk? Oh, those clonkies! Do you hear the clonkies? They're so good. Should have done that in the arrangement, right? Yeah, this is all the pitch bends in here, which I played in, of course. Yeah, and actually, Cascade is right. It is spelled with an I-E. He is a French Canadian, so it's like the French word. That automation clip is to make sure gross beat during this. Sections does not trigger. I don't need it this early, but yeah. That bass entrance is so good. this is the brand new part. This brand new solo. Why not? Oh, I love how that moves. 2, 3, 4.
So it's kind of like a parody of Mary's Room. It's not really a parody though, because it does have its own.
I don't think it actually does that in the album. I think I give it more space than that. I give it 2 measures, I think. And actually, I think that's like, yeah, physically that's in here, right? That's why like this automation clip is extended past where its last point is because I made I put 2 measures of space there, so it does line up, like count wise, it does line up. But yeah. Okay, that's Vapid Hedonistic Garbage. I didn't see any like really specific questions other than like Jesse asking about the processing on the piano, which there is not much of because it's just uber upright working its magic. So cool. That's a thing. Let's check out. Okay, I don't know. Maybe we don't do polyshapr. I don't know. We've been streaming for 2 hours, but I want to just briefly look at bird watching because it's freaking fun. So last solo improvised or written. It's like, oh no, why am I saving? I didn't mean to save the zip file like that. I did not want to do that. It's okay. I have the original zips backed up in Google Drive. Whatever. And I also remember how this worked. Anyway, okay. I'm not gonna fret about that. But let's see. Did I improvise it or did I write it? It's a combination. It's a combination. So I would say mostly it's improvised. Like gesturally, definitely improvised. But I improvised it probably in a different key. Let's see. What key is this in actually? For the last section here, that's like. Yeah, I need to. Where is that? Yeah, I might have played it in this key actually. This is pretty nice. Yeah, it's like going between D and B, which I definitely could be playing that. Yeah. So I might have played it in this key, but at a lower tempo, at a much lower tempo probably. Like I probably played this at like 120 BPM and then it's like played back at 150. But yeah, it's mostly improvised with some tweaks and like occasionally, there might be like one like beat or a bar where I'm like, oh, I actually want to do something different. So maybe I like play something and splice that in. So I'd say it's like mostly improvised, but there's never like a very hard line between improvisation and writing anyway, unless you're like actually like writing note by note, which I guess you can do. But yeah, so I the answer to your question is like it's mostly improvised with some editing. Okay, so beatbox beat, that's the one I just want to put this in here because it's just the project file looks kind of cool. So most of my project files look kind of like that one did. That one was bigger than most of them, but they all kind of look like that. But this one looks very different. This one looks very different because you have how many tracks is this? You have like freaking 21 through 38. So that's 17 tracks. But inclusive. So actually 18 tracks. This is 18 tracks of bass automation. And admittedly, some of them are not doing a lot, right? Like some of them are just like these two, which are just like the side chains. Wait, why are there 2 of them? I am so curious why there are 2 of them. Also, it doesn't fucking matter because there's no kick. There used to be a kick in that place. Right, so I think it used to be, there used to be a kick, and then I was like, oh, I don't want there to be a sidechain there, actually, but then in the end, I didn't have a kick there, so that's actually pointless. So some of the automation doesn't actually matter, but most of it does, especially any of the stuff that looks like pretty complicated. And some of this stuff, like, you have to zoom in to see what it's actually doing. So anyway, this is mostly automation clips, obviously. And there's also a lot of, so you see how there's like, this drum beat kind of goes through the whole thing, but if you, I don't know if it shows up great on the stream with the compression and whatnot, but you can see if I zoom in here, like all of these are grayed out, right? These are all muted. And this is kind of what I did for much of the track, is like I kind of just have the same beat going the whole time, but then there will be a bunch of samples muted at certain times, which makes it really easy to like unmute stuff, right? And experiment. But this track was made very explicitly from an from a beatbox. So that's why the project is called Beatbox Beat, is because I literally like had an actual audio beatbox, and I wonder if it's actually, yeah, it's here. I still have it. Oh, triplets. So anyway, this track is all about like triplets going into a beat or going into some sort of hit. Like there's so many like there's all these like little hi-hat triplets going into things, going into backbeats and whatnot. Just like all these hi-hat triplets all over the place. Okay. But yeah, this one's real fun because it's like, there's a lot of bass automation. This part will not have as much because we're not doing the dubstep here. This is like a little bit of hip hop, and then this part, which is like, I don't know, something. It's electronic music. And it's got all sorts of, yeah. So it's got Loop Lesbian Rats, another Wangaline thing. And, yeah, I think that's what this is, right? Yeah, that's like a lot of where the like interest, like if I mute this, that's what it sounds like. It's still cool, but like the Wangaline sample's doing a lot of work. We got some fives in the bass, of course. We gotta do that. But anyway, back to business. Back to the basics. If you know what I mean. So yeah, basically there's a bunch of stuff, but there's a couple of different basses for one. There's like there's a couple basses, and then there's like a bus for them that I called fat bass. So this one actually has two different instruments going to it, I think. Oh, am I wrong about that? I'm wrong about that. No, I'm not wrong about that. Yeah, see, you have bass Satan FM and Harmless. So we have that, and we have this. God, they're so loud. Very high passed right now, I guess. And then we have a sub. And then we have this. Oh, which is just used for attack. And then what is this? I don't know what this is. What is this? Ah, okay. What is going on? So I think what's happening is, yeah, it's the frequency shifter. So if we go, here we go. Yeah. So there's a bunch of effects on the fat bass. So you've got this guy, which gives you a low pass and a high pass. You've got a frequency shifter, which is kind of fun. A compressor, of course. You got a vocoder. You got a wave shaper for distortion. You got a bit crusher. You got a reverb, which again has a very low decay of 0.2 seconds, and that's just like, that's a thing that you do for dubstep basses that I found out when I was making this track. So yeah. Admittedly, that reverb is not doing a lot for most of this, is it? Is it that? Wait, is it this reverb? Hang on. No, sorry, it's this reverb. Yeah, this is the reverb for the fat bass. So actually it is. Yeah, it is coming on like. Right, if I didn't have the reverb, this reverb, like you see how that does, it just doesn't sound lively at all. It's actually more consistent, right? Like, because this reverb only turns on for the second half of that. Right? But yeah, super low decay reverb works magic. And yeah, and so then we have just like volume, we have stereo separation, we have this one is not for the dubstep part. Yeah, I should like sort the ones that are for the dubstep and the ones that aren't, but I did not do a very good job organizing this project. But then we've got Vocodex, which when you have the vocoder on, this is what it sounds like with the vocoder on. If we turn off the vocoder, it sounds like that, right? Versus, which are both great sounds, so it's good to like use both of them, and that's why the vocoder is not on all the time. But without the vocoder, without like any of the vocoder reverb or frequency shifter, this is what it sounds like. Which just doesn't sound very dubstep, right? But with the frequency shifter, right? The vocoder is probably doing the most work there, but then yeah, that's like that's a huge like vocoder sound there. Like with those last few notes, like if you took off Vocodex, yeah, like that's not it. But we fade it in, right? Like this right here is the vocoder mix level here. So it's not like we have it on for the entire thing. And in fact, you can see like we have it off for most of the time. We only put it on as like an accenting type of thing. The frequency shifter we activate even less often. But like I think this is like the most dubstep moment, right? Right? Yeah, like that is like a proper like dubstep like bass hit, right? like this, right? And that's from combining all of them, where we have reverb and the frequency shifter and the vocoder, and then of course, like underneath that, we've already got like a really okay, they're like totally off right now. We've already got this going on underneath it, or sorry, take off the effects. Right, it's like you have to have a bunch of harmonic information to work with, but then go from there, right? Fun stuff. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of it. I don't know. We can play this out, I guess. I guess. Okay. This. What's the cool thing in here? This. Yeah, this is actually. So what I did was, you can see like the original rhythm. This is like the rhythm that I originally made. And then I basically like reversed this, but it's offset, like it's not exactly on the beat. So you end up with like a bunch of these notes being like really not on a beat exactly. Like you can go like, this is like 16th note triplets, and you can see they're just like a little off, but it's actually just like it's actually just like 16th notes into 16th note triplets. Or wait, sorry. Oh, right. Yeah, it's like, I guess the idea is like it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but then I actually speed up the speeding up at the end as well. Right, okay, right. So it's like 16th note rate, and then quintuplet rate, and then 16th note triplet rate, and then 32nd note rate. But then I flipped it around, but I kept in the same space of like 16th notes, I guess. So it lines up on the 16th note grid when it starts, but that means that like some of these notes, anyway, it ends up sounding a lot like I'm just like have some rate knob that I'm turning down, but it is actually exact division. So you actually get like some like very much offbeat like quintuplets, like, because like these are the quintuplets, these 5, which means it's like these 5, I guess, although that doesn't even look right because clearly like these are the quintuplets. Oh, right. Yeah, because, well, okay, the thing is that I reversed the rhythm but not the notes. Yeah, that's right. Anyways, like this is clearly the quintuplet, right? Or no, wait, yes. Right? That's 5 notes in a 4-beat span. Yes, that is a quintuplet. Okay. So you do actually get a quintuplet, but it's not on the beat. It's like 1/16th note late. Because the whole thing was 1/16th note late, and it was on the beat, and then I reversed it. And anyway. One of my favorite like little tiny moments from the album for sure is this little bass thing. Anyway, we can finish it out. Lesbian Rats is still around. Cool. Mini beatbox. No. I like have it in my muscle memory to like hit Control S really often, like whenever I have a pause, and I keep doing it, and I shouldn't be doing it. I think I probably didn't mess anything up because like all of these are correct, but anyway. Yeah, so that is Vapid Hedonistic Garbage and a little bit of bird watching. This is polyshapr code, and probably not going to be that interesting for a live stream. Polyshapr itself, though. Oh boy. Polyshapr itself sure is interesting, isn't it? And right now I'm working on it. What the heck happened there? Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been working on rendering, so you can actually render the audio properly, and it'll sound different. Like with these small ones, it doesn't really make a difference, but it'll sound very different with like a big one. So if I do like 800 or something like that, and we make the cycle length really long, then we crash because it's too much to do. RIP. Okay. Polyshapr is this. What you should do is you should go to chambercode.com/polyshapr. Actually, does that link work directly? Yes, it does. So this is the thing. It is an animation app that I am working on, that I have been working on for a long time. I made it like 2 years ago, roughly, and a little bit more than 2 years ago, actually, I think. And I post animations that I make with it on Instagram, but you can also use it. It is free. It is open source. It has a GitHub page, and I've been working on it. I've been working on rendering so that you can do really, really big polyrhythms properly, and it's super fun. Yeah, go mess around with it. It's super fun. It is in JavaScript. It's all because it's a website, so it's all in JavaScript, and including the rendering. I have other music things. So I have this Realizer 2. This one's crazy. This one's like one of my favorite personal projects I've ever done of any kind. What you do is you take an audio file. Let me find something. You know what? Why don't I take Vapid Hedonistic Garbage? So we've become familiar with that. So let's say I take Vapid Hedonistic Garbage, and it'll maybe take a moment actually. But what I can do is I can like draw a plot, and then it will like jumble it up according to the plot that you draw, and it anyway, it's fun. Let's see, what about this? Yeah, that one looks fun. Anyway, this one uses Rust and WebAssembly. So this one actually has a WebAssembly component that I wrote the code for in Rust, and that's what actually does like the Realizer algorithm itself. But for Polyshapr, so far I've just been doing it all in JavaScript, even the rendering part, because yeah, I mean, it might be more efficient to do it in Rust, but I don't know if it'll matter enough. Like maybe it'll be like twice as fast in Rust, but like who really cares? Like it's a render. So yeah. Anyway, all in JavaScript so far. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end the stream. Good stream. It took a long time to ramp up. Like I basically had zero viewers for like the first hour. But we got there eventually. Oh yeah, that's my day job. I'm a software engineer. But I started software because of music. This isn't actually like my first. This is like a more modern, updated version of my first ever program, which was to like flip scales. So it's like, yeah. Oh, look at that. C major flips around to, or like, how about, oh, have you heard of it? Have you heard of negative harmony? Oh my God. Actually, I guess it's more like, anyway, yeah. So started programming because of music and still doing it. Cool. Well, thanks for hanging around on the stream. YouTube tells me I have one concurrent viewer, so I guess that's you. But sometimes it lies. Sometimes I've definitely seen like multiple people in the chat when it says one. So I don't know. Maybe there's other people too. But anyway, stream is ending now. Cool. Yeah, I've been in polyshapr land mostly, but I wanted to do this Vapid Hedonistic Garbage breakdown stream because it's like the other. It got second place in the poll, and it's just like a super cool track to break down. So that's that. Farewell. Happy New Year, ish.